Saying no often feels scary. I get it. I see women all of the time. When they're ready to issue their no, they start to collapse in on themselves because they've been taught that as a good girl, you always say yes. Well, I'm going to help you take your power back around this concept in this podcast. This is part 2 of my little mini series, the Power Back Protocol. So let's get you your feminine power back and let's begin right now. Welcome to the Satisfied Woman podcast. I'm your host, Alanna Kaivalya. This podcast is dedicated to helping women lean into their femininity and rediscover the power of their feminine gifts. We take a look at what it means to be a modern woman and how we can live a satisfied life on our own terms. Visit the hub at thesatisfiedwoman.com. Now, if you haven't gone to check out that website yet, please make sure you do. I've got lots of stuff right there for you. You can grab the free feminine reset sessions. You can join my monthly membership Rooted, or you can even book a quick 15-minute clarity call with me where we can have a chat and figure out exactly where you are disempowering yourself or being disempowered in your own life. Because ladies, here's something I know, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We have lived in this idea for far too long that women are the weaker sex. You know, I used to hear that a lot when I was a kid. Maybe that concept is dwindling out a little bit, but I think there's definitely residual ideas there. Or that in order to be strong and powerful, we have to be just like men. We have to be strong on their terms. We have to be successful on their terms. We have to live life on their terms. The feminine has its own terms. And guess what? Those terms are just as powerful, just as sacred, and just as important as anything else the masculine wants to do. We're just going to do it in our own way. So it's time to rewrite the story, to change the narrative, or really to reclaim it in terms that make sense to us and that honor who we are as feminine women. This is one of the big reasons why I wrote the book, guys, The Way of the Satisfied Woman. If you haven't picked up your copy yet, make sure you do. It's everywhere books are sold. And I had a really lovely experience recently. A client of mine living, I think, in Washington sent me a photo of my book in the front window of her local bookstore. Boy, that was a moment. You know, sometimes you put this work out into the world and you just don't know exactly when and where and how it's going to land. So this is why I created the movement around it, because I don't want this work to exist in a vacuum. I actually want to hear from you. So this is my little tiny aside right here on this podcast, a little secret plea that, hey, if you're listening, if you've been listening, if you've been watching, reach out. We're here to create community. We're here to be partnered in this massive collaboration, this movement of creating greater satisfaction for women. So reach out to me through the website. I've given you some steps to do it, and let me know how things are landing for you. Look, this little mini series is all about power. And again, I don't want you powerful on a man's terms. It doesn't mean you're going to the gym 3 days a week to lift heavy objects. If you love that, go do that. I love that for you. But your power exists on different terms. And one of the things that we spoke about in the last podcast was where we leak energy. Where are we releasing it? And we don't have to. So last week we located the leak. And this week we're going to close it. We're going to seal it up. So the feminine is receptive. Okay, there are some core attributes to femininity: our intuition, our emotional depth, our creativity, the fact that life force energy is ours, the fact that we are embodied, that pleasure runs through our bodies. But this receptivity really holds all of that. So imagine that you are a vessel, you are a container. And, you know, I have a beautiful vase that I bought many years ago, and it's a gorgeous container. It's enormous. I don't even know the size of the bouquet that I have to put in there to fill it up. So it stays empty most times. But when I think of myself as a vessel, I think of myself in that shape and in those terms because it's intricate, it's interesting, it's not regular. It's got some little pockmarks and divots. It goes from blue to kind of purplish to pink. This is you. Your vase might not look the same, but I want you to imagine yourself that way. And on a very practical level, as a feminine woman in a female body, you are a vessel. And whether that means your pussy as the portal to your pleasure, whether that means your actual womb and its ability to carry children, you are a vessel. And that biology, that actual physical human body, that structurally is reflected in your psychology. Your DNA knows this about you. So to try to do the other thing, to try to force yourself into being the opposite, ladies, of being a receiver is to be a penetrator, right? And we all know the masculine body, the male body, has a penis that penetrates. And this is just, I don't mean to be crass, but it's just brass tacks. And this isn't about sexuality or orientation. I'm literally just talking about the human form. Okay? But again, that physical form is also reflected in the psychology. The ability to walk around with something sticking out of you is a very different human experience than to be walking around with this receivership ability, right? Again, this goes beyond gender orientation, all of that. It really does. And it's 2025. Every version of all of these things is awesomely okay. I just speak most clearly to the feminine woman because that's who I am. That's my experience. So that being said, your vessel needs to be secure. Because again, while you got that physical representation of it, and of course that needs to be safe too. No penetration without consent. That also reflects in our interactions, in our psychology, in our communication. You know, I had an interesting exchange the other day where I was selling something on Facebook Marketplace, as one does these days in the future where we're living. And so I connected with someone who was messaging me, and I was selling an item. And yet this person, as an unboundaried masculine person, started asking me who I was, inquiring about my work, asking for a picture of me. What do I do? Oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, and he started flirting with me. And I thought, wow, that's intrusive. That's a penetration. That's breaching a wall that I have no interest in tearing down right now. I'm just here to sell the thing on the Facebook Marketplace. But for a long time, and maybe this resonates with you, women have been taught to be accommodating, to let that in, even when it doesn't feel good, even when we don't want to, because that's what would keep us safe. So there's, I'm sure you've all heard the terms fight or flight response. Our nervous system goes into a fight or flight response when we're scared or under attack, or something is, a wall's being breached. But there are more responses than just that. There's also freeze, and there's also fawn. And many women fall into fawning when they get into a nervous system dysregulated state. Fawning comes from the term of that little baby fawn, having to stay soft and cute and accommodating in order to be protected. Because that little fawn doesn't have a lot of protections on its own. Now, I'm not diminishing our own strength and power, ladies. We're badasses. There's no overlooking that. But again, if you think about historically, evolutionarily, even right now, I don't know a single woman, even the most powerful, badass, sovereign woman, who, if she was just given a safe place of respite, wouldn't absolutely relax and release into that. Right? So when that's coming from an unsafe place, but it's the best we can get, we end up fawning. We end up people pleasing. We end up being penetrated psychologically, emotionally, relationally, even physically when we don't want to be. And that's not the exchange. It's not the exchange. Vessels are not meant to have cracks or holes in them. Vessels are meant to be whole with that one opening that receives the beauty that it's meant to hold, okay? So I hope that all makes sense, because what we want to do is create that vessel. And we do it through our sacred no. And I talk about this quite a lot because it seems to be the thing that is so skipped over and missing for us. Your no isn't mean. It's medicinal. And if you've been over giving, saying yes to things that deplete you, or if you're afraid of being too much by asking for what you need, then please listen. Because a sacred no is a reclamation. It's not a no that burns bridges. It's a no that builds boundaries. It's a no that creates that vessel of receptivity. So when we're taught to be agreeable, likable, compliant, we turn into that nervous system dysregulated state where we feel almost traumatized by an experience. It closes us off. We build resentment. We go into that fawning element where we'll compromise ourselves and stay small just to maintain the illusion of protection. We also really internalize it. When we issue a no and potentially disappoint someone else, we've been told that we're selfish, that we're cold. But really what no is, we weren't taught no. We were taught to disappear. Now, if you're watching me on YouTube, you're going to see the intensity of my gaze. And if you're listening to me, I hope you hear it. Women have been disappearing too long. It is time for us to show the fuck up in the world. And I know the world wasn't built for that. And I know the world in many ways still wants to keep us down. But every way in which we can inch our way toward that, let's do it, because you will be happier. You will feel more pleasure. You will be more sovereign. And you will show the women around you that it's possible. So your sacred no isn't like a tantrum. It's not reactive. It honors your body's wisdom and your truth. And most importantly, it's rooted in your intuition. And I know that you all feel it. Okay, you don't need to justify your no. I talk about this a lot with my one-on-one coaching clients. No is a complete sentence. We work on that a lot. But your no comes from inside you. It comes from your intuition. Now, I've done this a couple of times on different podcasts and different outlets. Podcast number 25 has this really, really well done. But I'll run through it quickly here. Your sacred no is a feeling. It's not rational. It's not logical. It doesn't have to be. It was never meant to be. You're a feminine woman. Once you get your no, then you can use logic and reason to work that out and follow it through, not to talk yourself out of it or second guess. Your no comes from the most sacred feminine part of you. So you'll feel your no if something comes up. Hey, do you want to go to dinner? Hey, shall we go to bed now? Hey, what do you think about this idea or moving here or doing that? If you can maintain that internal awareness of your femininity, you will feel the answer before you know the answer. And your no is often going to feel like a tightness or a tension. It's going to feel like, I have one client actually, she feels it almost like as a constriction around the throat, like she can't breathe. There's no more life force energy coming her way. That is a clear no. And if you don't issue the no, you will suffer. For every time a woman has overridden her intuition, she has suffered. Okay? Now, your intuition also has a yes. It's just that the feminine, interestingly enough, the phrase of the feminine is no. The phrase of the masculine is yes. The question of the feminine is when. The question of the masculine is how. So you can see how those things work in balance in opposition to one another. So our no really gives us this boundaried, sovereign place to move from in order to receive all the nourishment that we need. So when you feel that no, you issue it and then it's done. And the yes is going to be exactly opposite. There'll be a lightness, there'll be an expansion, and there may, because we're so trained out of issuing our yes, be some fear. That you're going to be rejected through your yes. So if you've had too much practice in the opposite ways, saying yes when you mean no, saying no when you mean yes, you may have to do some nervous system regulation around it. Feel safe in those yeses and nos. Do small ones that you're not going to be rejected by. Little ones that you can honor yourself in order to practice your intuition really being able to come to the party for you. Because that's like putting a fence around your sacred garden. or pruning a tree so that it can flourish. So ask yourself, where in your life right now is something else thriving at your expense? That's where your no belongs. Is someone else getting more sleep because you're getting up early? Is someone else taking your resources and you're giving them away? There's no prizes at the end of this life, guys. Nobody's giving out like gold stars for more suffering. It doesn't work that way. Your no is complete. So my challenge to you, my homework to you in this particular podcast is to root into your nervous system around a no. And again, you can start small. Feel a no in your body. Name what it feels like. And then simply say it. You can simply say no. And when they say, well, but why? I'm not available for that. It doesn't feel aligned. Because saying no to them is going to be saying yes to you. And that's going to show them your value. When you self-abandon, when you say yes and mean no, it's going to devalue you in their eyes. You say, I'm not worth the extra sleep. I'm not worth holding on to my resources. I can give my resources away for free, for cheap. You teach people how to treat you in many circumstances. So to create those boundaries is to call in the kind of people who see your power and allow you to thrive. So here are some fun things that I would love for you to attempt to say no to over the next week, or really throughout the rest of your lifetime. For sure, ladies, we have to stop saying yes. We got to say our good no to unpaid emotional labor. I almost feel like any of us who go on a bad date where we're, being asked to be their therapist the entire time, we end the date by sending them a bill for our time. Anytime we show up at, the colleague's house or the friend's house who doesn't know that reciprocity is appropriate in these situations and they just ask for all of our information, we issue a bill. Look, this is why I have a coaching certification program, because women often get caught in the trap that they just have to offer emotional labor to everyone else. They have to soothe everyone else. They have to solve everyone else's problems. We are the ones that people come to for answers. But that is a lot of work. It is. It's incredibly draining. So if you have a certification like coaching, which actually coaching is an amazing career choice for women because we can do it in our own time, with our own boundaries, on our own schedule. We can scale it up when we need to. It exists in our feminine rhythm, but then we get paid for the emotional labor that we usually do for free. So no more unpaid emotional labor. Go get your coaching certification. You can find it at thesatisfiedwoman.com. No more overextended commitments. Just because you said yes to that thing a while back doesn't mean you can't say no now. If it stops feeling good, if you stop having the ability to freely pour your energy into it, then you just say no. We're also, I hope, going to all agree to say no to half-hearted relationships. To relationships that don't show up for you in the caliber that you show up for them. Now, that's a really common one. We have this ingrained thing to see the best in people, to give them the benefit of the doubt, to paint red flags green. But let's no longer do that. Let's say no to half-hearted relationships. We want someone who matches our energy. Someone who's giving us as much energy as we give them. If you don't feel that energy match, it's not good alignment. All right, last thing to say no to. Doing things just because you can. Sure, you can pick up the socks. You can continue to do your adult child's laundry. You can drive all the friends' kids to soccer practice 4 times a week. You can. But if there is that hitch in your heart around, but I just want to rest, or I just like some me time, or it's taking me away from my creative project, then let's start practicing a no. A good, clear no. Because when you say no in situations like that, you empower them to figure it out. And that's actually more empowering for them. It's empowering all around. It's disempowering when we just do everything for everybody else. Let them figure it out themselves and let them rise to the challenge. Let them rise to the challenge. The woman who can truly say no is the most sovereign woman. She's the woman who can really be free inside of her own life. So in our next episode of this mini-series, we'll talk about this false idea that all your power comes from doing it all. Because it doesn't. It comes from doing what's right for you. And you're probably doing way more than just that. So if you want to continue this conversation, come join me in the Rooted membership. You know where to find it. It's at thesatisfiedwoman.com. That's where I give you a daily rhythm of femininity with some daily prompts to keep you in the flow. I give you content drops you can't find anywhere else. I go live, do hot seat coaching, offer Q&A, all of that. And if you want to start getting paid for the emotional labor that you're likely doing anyway, come be a certified coach with me. And you'll find that on my website under the Work With Me tab in the navigation, and you can apply for the coaching certification when the next round opens. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, stay satisfied and stay sovereign.